bags in. I have a whole bunch in there right now. I've been bringing them in all since last year, so we should be okay. This is called a vibrator. They're underneath. You put the bag over top. If you don't, you're going to be chiseling away and cleaning forever. You're going to measure out how much plaster you need. You went over that yesterday, so you know how much you need. And once again, you're going to have other people over here. So if you need to use one of those containers above, you can. I wonder if they have plastic beakers. Probably be good for you guys, for us to have, so that we can measure things. That's how much I have, and remember, you should have another. You should have a paper towel. You should have extra water, because other people will be using the sink, so you can't get frustrated. I'm going to show you a single pour and a double pour. It's another one of your key terms. Here we are. Spatula looks a little bit different. Beaver tail. Now this is where you want this flexible area to get into the bowl. It's the same as the bowl. They're up here. So you clean it. Some of those aren't so clean, and you hang it back up. Make sure it's dry, otherwise you get rust like this does. When you are doing your water, if we put it too slow, there's bubbles going through the water. You create bubbles on here, and that's not good. That creates bubbles on your tray. So you're going to, for me, I can do it over top of the sink, and I can just keep letting the water add until I know I have enough. For you guys, you might need to measure the first time. Hannah, will you spray that down with that alcohol water? Spray my impression material.
Impressions.
Now it's okay, I made a little bit of a mess. It's okay, I can deal with it as long as I come back and I clean it up. Now, I'm not playing the music, and you don't want me to sing too much, but it's all about the bass. Then you won't have trouble. Alright, so this is a little bit thin, but if you noticed just a second ago, I had a big clump of plaster. You want to make sure you're getting down on the bottom and it's nice and smooth. So that's okay to do the negative imprint. You want to put this on here, and if you look, I'm pushing it down. There's a whole bunch of bubbles coming up. We don't like bubbles. Bubbles cause distortion in our impression. Did we spray it or no? You hold it on the vibrator, and then you place it on one side and let it roll over to the other. Why am I placing it over here and wanting it to roll to there?
So it fills up the teeth.
Fills up the teeth, and then if you're removing the bubbles as it goes along. If I'm looking, I see a whole bunch of bubbles coming up, so I want to make sure. And you can have like a little instrument to poke it down there. Alright. So now this is pretty thin. I'm going to make my base. I'm adding more plaster to it. Because remember, if we have it too thin, it's going to be like soup. I have less working time. You guys understand that now, right? This is something that's going to take a little bit of time of you guys getting used to. Now my stuff is really thick right now. So I put it back on top, and I might have messed up. I might have made it too thick, and I don't have enough base. So that's single pour the way I just did it there. This is double. Smooth it out and invert it. And I still don't have enough base because you need stuff to trim away. So you almost need a whole nother container. This is still pliable, so if you notice you need it in another area, you can move it a little bit. You can wet your finger and move it. I got mine a little too thick. So double pour, once again, you put material on your paper towel. Your other is single pour where you flip it on top of it. And then you put it all on top and then you flip it, you invert it. All right. I think that one had a little bit of, see all that stuff that just came out of there? That'll cause bubbles. Put this guy to the side. Definitely don't have enough plaster. Oops. See all the bubbles here? Not good. But you don't want to have it going so fast that it's creating bubbles when it hits the powder or the plaster. See what I just had it on my left side. I had to reach over. It wasn't comfortable. So make sure that you have things lined up the way you want them. There's going to be 2 vibrators over to the right and just 1 here. So you have this working space. Be conscious of your time though. You can't run into somebody else's time. So I'm going to do it so that you guys can see me just making a whole base on its own. You don't have to do it this way, but you see how I was a little short on the materials. Once again, that stuff's all on the bottom now, so you got to make sure you're lifting it up and it's not clumpy on the bottom. Don't worry about all that cleanup right now. So do you guys want me to do single or double?
Double.
Okay, so this is already a, this is,
Single?
if I put it on there, that'd be a single. Ooh. It's kind of still thick here. You guys said you wanted a double?
Yes. Yeah.
I'm used to doing single, so I have to think for a minute.
I'm sorry. Do you want to do a single?
Actually, I think single's kind of easier, or double's better for you guys. So I'm evaluating it, and it's a little thin for me to flip things on top of it.
Right.
That's why I should have a bowl over here with more plaster, so I'm not running away.
That's a little better.
I think we need a little bit more.
Okay.
So that's a 3 container, and some offices they'll have stone in one, they'll have plaster in the other, regular set and then fast set. So you always want to evaluate. Use all of that plaster, you'll want it. You want to make sure it's leveled off, that it's not down below too much, and then you're going to invert it. So kind of evaluate. If you're looking, you need a point with your, no, you want it rounded on your mandibular, so that looks pretty good. I can wet my finger and make it nice and smooth, because it's kind of larger in some areas than others.
Ooh.
And do not let it go too far down. The tongue part, which is right here, it'll lock in. You won't be able to get it off without maybe breaking. And I'll make you sit there with the buffalo knife and smooth it out to get it a nice contrast. So like I said, with my fingers, this is the back. So I can kind of look, yeah, I have that there. This is rounded. Then you don't have to trim as much. But I wouldn't mess with it too much, because then it can move your stuff around. But once again, you don't want to push it down too much, because that will bury it into the impression material. And you want to make sure it's level. And that's it. Then you clean up and you get a stamp for cleanup. Yesterday we already talked about a cleanup. So we can pause that. We can stop.